Yes, guys, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another video. So, pretty important topic. I wanted to go over something that, as I work with more guys who are already in the gym when it comes to coaching, a topic which I see more and more, which is kind of being scared to do what you need to do to push through that barrier when you haven't seen many results for the past few years and you've kind of got to the point where you're just in and out the gym, you're winging it a little bit, or you might even be really into the gym. But if you were to be like brutal honest with yourself and you look back at the last few years, you haven't really changed much because I got caught in that boat for quite a long time. And it was only when I actually started coaching which gave me an actual real reason to think I need to be in the best shape possible if I'm going to do this the right way. So I actually zoomed out, got a second opinion, and realized, yeah, do you know what? I've probably actually had periods in the last few years, or I look at old photos and think I literally look better in that photo than I do now. I haven't, done anything wrong in the meantime. But that's when you have that real kick up the ass in yourself and you realize, okay, something obviously isn't going right. Just because I'm going to the gym, I know about protein, bulks, cuts, and I'm into all that kind of stuff. Doesn't just automatically mean it's all going in the right direction. So when I got into the gym, it was all about just getting bigger. It was just about getting bigger, stronger, PBs, hitting bench press, eating more, getting as much protein in, mass gainers, all that kind of stuff. So you could say I was coming from a bit of like a skinnier background, which is why I went into that. But even guys who maybe have a bit of body fat to lose, they might still get introduced to the gym in a way of just strength, getting bigger, stronger. So for a lot of us, and this was especially me and a lot of the guys I'm working with now, going into like a cut or a diet might just seem like you're going the complete wrong way. It almost feels like you're trying to do a bodybuilding show, but you're doing marathons. Like it just doesn't align with where you want to be. But doing that diet is exactly what you need to push through that barrier of not seeing results. Because I avoided dieting for so long to the point that when I actually did look to do a diet, I had people around me who were quite close, or even friends who have just been training me for quite a while, who were literally saying like, why are you doing a diet? Like it's just completely going against what we are trying to achieve. But this is where, like I said, you've got that honest conversation with yourself. Think, okay, I haven't actually progressed the last few years. I'm trying to eat more, eat more, eat more. Like I'm obviously at a point where I'm either not growing because I've got to the point where my body is just kind of resenting the food I'm eating, or whatever it is. You've just adapted to it, and it is hard to trust that process of going into a diet. But I'm going to break down and explain the actual reasons behind why you do need to do that and why it is a necessary step. Even once you've done a big diet and you go on to get back into your bulk and you start gaining way more size, you're looking better, you're staying lean, there's still little 8 week periods where you need to pull back a little bit because your body's just going to adapt to everything you do. So if you're not changing the phases down the line at the right time and your body is pretty much asking for you to do so, you're just going to stay the same and you get caught in the trap. And realistically, what are your options? You get caught in the trap and you basically stay doing the same thing, but you're staying comfy, or you get a bit uncomfortable for a bit, but it pays off. Going back to how it basically changed for me, when I first got into coaching, I knew I needed to invest in a coach. One, I wanted to see how someone who is, at the top of the industry was operating on a daily basis. Like, how are they going about their day? But more importantly, obviously, I wanted to get in the best shape possible. And you're always going to benefit having someone in your corner, no matter how much you know. I've been going to the gym for like 6 years at this point, done all the qualifications, been to uni, worked in multiple gyms. I wasn't getting with a coach to really learn much more to go into coaching. It was more to make sure I've done it. But they basically got me into a deficit and a diet and loads of cardio straight away. And obviously, I had quite a lot of questions about this because in my head, I was still kind of caught in that trap of, oh, sure, you get into a bulk and get bigger and grow because that's what everyone wants. But when I actually learned that I wasn't just going into a diet to get lean and look good for Instagram, I was quite surprised that there was actually full reasons behind it of why this is a necessary step to move forward. It's not just diet, get a few pictures on the beach and look great, but it was actually, if you want the bulk to be successful and actually look good in a bulk all year round and really like walk the walk, you could say, you need to go through this process first. And the way I got it described to me was basically it's a case of get into this diet and you either get flat or stay fat. Now, I wasn't actually obviously fat, but the term is very accurate. It's basically get flat and diet down and get to the point where you do feel like a bit depleted, you do feel quite small. Obviously, yeah, you're a lot more defined, the abs are there, the veins there, but it's either that or just kind of stay fat. Like if you don't, and when I say fat, again, this doesn't have to mean fat. It just means you're just not really where you want to be and things aren't really moving. Because if you aren't taking a leap to really make a big change in your physique, nothing is going to change. And the reality is you can't make a big leap of like a big change in your physique just through eating more and training harder. Like 99% of the time, unless you literally have nothing on you, the only real way to dramatically change your shape is to diet down and kind of sculpt your physique along the way. Like just purely because you can do that in 12 weeks, that you can diet down right now and in 12 weeks look a different person. Whereas if we got on an intense bulk in 12 weeks, you probably look the same. You might have an extra few kilos, might be a bit stronger, but visually you look the same. So to really make a big difference and change the trajectory of how you're going to look, it probably is going to start with diet. So yeah, I was pretty much before that in that same boat as you probably are now. It's basically anytime you want to get a bit bigger, or you kind of look in the mirror and think I haven't really changed these last few years, and you want to make a big change. It is that you just try train harder, try eat more, but you're just pissing in the dark. Like that, there is no actual blueprint. There is no kind of guarantee of this is what's going to happen, and you can get caught in your ways of like thinking that is just how the gym is, but there genuinely is a blueprint for you right now that you can follow, which is going to get you to exactly where you want to be, like to change every single week. And this is why when I love working with guys who are already in the gym, because I think it's harder for them to join coaching, just kind of because of that ego that you build when you go to gym. You think, oh, I don't need a coach. I go to gym every day. I'm fine. But it's when you actually have that first week with a coach or the first month and you just think, oh my God, I've been missing out on so much. So for me to really like break past that progress barrier and drop that ego, the first step was dieting down. And for 99% of people, it's going to be the exact same thing. The purpose behind this was to basically get the body responsive and actually ready to grow. Instead of just trying to force food in and just grow and grow and grow, it was more actually get to the point where you're so lean to the point where your body is almost craving them nutrients, and you can actually start at like 2,200 calories, look really good, and also start to build a lot of muscle after that cut. So you basically just got a long period now where you can bulk while looking super lean because you've held onto that condition, but there's almost zero risk of putting on any body fat in this bulk. So you're just going to look better and better. And then when you diet down again, you're going to look even better. So it's now trying to fall in love with that process instead of just the old try go for a bench PB, try eat more, try train harder. And obviously it's a very hard mental barrier to get over that, but that's why I'm making this video. So I basically went from training hardish, eating all right, to knowing exactly what the plan was, having full clarity every day, waking up and knowing exactly how I'm going to feel, how hungry I'm going to feel, how much cardio I've got to do, steps, how much protein, macros, calories, whatever it was, knowing exactly what is going to be consumed every single workout, knew what weight I did last week, trying to beat it the next week, knowing how many seconds I've got to control each phase of my lift. And if you're into the gym, you get quite obsessed with things like that, and that's where the real enjoyment comes out of it. For some people, that might sound like hell, which is fair enough, but for me, that is exactly what I want, to be absolutely dialed in on knowing every little detail. So yeah, you can be pretty flexible, you can mix in a few different meals, you don't have to train, super sciencey every day. But sometimes you do fall in love with that process, and you're just going to get better results from doing it anyway. When I say I knew exactly what I was doing in that phase, like, it's not just a case of having a plan and knowing what you're eating, it's having a roadmap and knowing exactly what the goal is in that phase. So if I had 4 weeks in a maintenance, I knew I was in a maintenance. I knew I needed to reset my system and get my body responsive again. I needed to go into a diet to build up the runway of how long I'm going to be able to bulk for. And in that diet, it was a case of, okay, you need to lose 5 kg, so we're going to lose 0.5 for 10 weeks. We're going to increase cardio before we decrease food. If we're not losing our goal amount per week, we're going to decrease calories, like whatever it is. And we're just going to do it all the right way with pure structure. So you can literally look at the roadmap and know exactly where your physique is going to end up. So in 10 weeks, this is how you're going to be looking. And can you imagine how much more motivating that is, as opposed to just kind of going in, winging it, looking the same every year? Because as I say, I was in that trap for so long. And it'll be the same when it comes out of that deficit as well. But this time you go into a proper structured bulk where I might have had 24 weeks, for example, where I need to gain 0.5 kilos per week, get to 24-week mark. At this point, we can probably predict that your appetite's going to be wanting to spit the oats back out. You're not going to want all that potato and rice and chicken. So we're going to have like an 8-week pullback, drop the calories by quite a bit, bring in that cardio again, try not to lose more than 2 or 3 kilos, just get the body fat off, and again, just build up that responsiveness and just keep pushing, keep pushing. And you might get to a point where you're like, okay, do you know what? I've put on a nice amount of size. I'm going to go and do a proper 12 to 16 week diet again. Or, like me, potentially what I might do is I might do one of those diets every now and again, every couple of years. But to be honest, it'll probably just be a case of mini cut, get back into bulking, because my goal does still stay the same. When it comes to dieting down, you just need to see it as, if your goal is to get bigger, bench PBs, get leaner, stronger, you still can do that while dieting, but you just have to see that mini pullback for a few weeks, which if you're dead hot on it, it won't take long anyway. You need to see that mini pullback as this is the necessary step to further enhance those future lifts. Like, as I said at the start, you can stay comfy right now, but ultimately in a year, you're going to stay the same. Whereas if you just be the person who takes 16 weeks right now to bite the bullet of going on a diet, you in a year is going to be unrecognizable. So it is a super necessary step to diet down. It can be scary. And I said at the start as well, it depends on the person. I have a lot of clients who are scared to bulk, and it's just having that coach in your corner to actually break down the science and the reason behind it. Instead of just say, right, it's time for you to bulk, because not everyone has to go through this exact phase. We're never going to force someone to diet if they don't want to diet. But having someone in your corner to say, listen, like, you're not going to actually change if you don't take this jump and move forward and actually make quite a big change in your routine. And every client I've ever had who's scared of cutting, they prefer cutting in the end. And every client I've ever had who's scared of bulking, they prefer bulking. It's because you're scared of it because you know it's what you've got to do. But it's just a big maze of where do I even start? as opposed to just, do you know what, I'll just carry on eating what I want, go to work, go to the gym, whatever, because it's easy, because it's like controlled. But your life's easier when you actually take that jump. Because if you're ever scared of a cut, a bulk, or a change in phase, first of all, make sure you're doing it right. Okay, that's the most important thing. If you are scared of it, try and look into the reason of why that is. Are you scared of it because it's unknown and you're staying comfy? So do you know what? Let's actually just do it. Or are you scared because if you were to be honest with yourself deep down, you're kind of ignoring the fact that I don't actually know where to start. And if that is the case, you need to just do something about it. You need to increase your standards. You can't go on any longer thinking that winging it and just giving it a crack is good enough. You need to really put your foot on the gas and make sure that the transformation you want becomes literally like a non-negotiable. Like it can't not happen because you've aligned your schedule and your diary and your life to meet up with that result. So it can be done, and it is as simple as that. You just have to take action. If you want to make it happen, you make it happen. And as I keep saying, it doesn't mean you're going to just turn up to the gym a bit more, eat a bit better. You're going to invest in yourself. You're going to get it done properly, following someone else's footsteps, and do it the right way. And your body is always going to adapt. Okay, so if you're bulking right now, you're cutting right now, you can't just do it with no plan B. There has to be something which comes after. That's the most important thing I always make sure my clients on their roadmap, it will say in a lot of detail, this is how long we're cutting or bulking for, this is why, but this is what comes next. So when you get 2 weeks left of your diet, you're not like, oh my God, 2 more weeks to go and then I can just be normal again. You think, okay, I've got 2 more weeks and then we're going into this phase. I'm going to incorporate a bit more normality into my life with like cheat meals and off-plan meals, going out with mates, but I'm still on the same path, because if there's nothing that comes after, you're going to go backwards. So thank you for watching. Hopefully it breaks down a bit more detail of why you can't be scared of these other phases, and it gives you a bit more of a push to make a jump, take a bit of a leap in doing something different.